Alright, so first step in any good party that you actually want to survive is composition. For Twilight here, recommended is a tank, 1 cleric, and then 4 DPS. Obviously, having a good tank and a good cleric is necessary for survival, but what is also necessary for survival is 4 strong DPS. Your DPS classes will need to be at least about 100,000 or better each as far as power goes, because you need to be able to take out the bosses as quickly as possible, preferably before they rage. Whenever a boss rages, it becomes much stronger, hits way harder, and will probably wipe out your tank in 1 or 2 hits. Even if the tank is 150k or better, they still have a chance of getting 2 or 3 shot. So, very critical to take them out as quickly as possible. If you're running with a group that you don't know, if you're running with just a pickup group, then that first room right there will be able to tell you how well you're working together. If your tank is able to peel aggro and control the monsters, which is what I'm trying to do here, obviously. My general plan as far as tanking goes when it comes to multiple monsters is I will taunt the first target, and then I will switch targets and hit the next target until I secure aggro, then I move to the next target, etc, etc. It just depends on how many targets there are. If you have a DPS that hits hard enough, they may take aggro away from you, in which case you'll have to use either roar or just keep spamming your taunt until you get it back. For this little room here, those 4 monsters, you'll see what I was saying about switching targets. So I hit that one first, and then I go to try to secure aggro on the rest of them and peel it off of my DPS so they can take them out. This is all pretty straightforward until you get to the bosses. No real major tips or tricks or anything exciting. With these little sand fleas, their skill, I normally try to move to the side to get their skill to go away from my party, like this right here. And then if you just run through them, you get to avoid that whole area. You just run through to the other side, wait for the skill to go off, and then run right back over. And that way, if it actually goes off twice, you'll still have it pointed in the right direction away from the rest of your party. This was actually one of my early runs on attempting Twilight with a group. This was actually my 2nd attempt, and this is a full guild group. We have, oh, there we go. Changed to better graphics, so it actually looks better for the recording. Good job. Obviously, I didn't think of that ahead of time. Okay, well, here we go with the first boss. So the first boss, this will definitely tell you if your party is going to be able to make it or not. With that cursed spear, his first primary skill, no real ways, unfortunately, to avoid it. Even if you avoid the skill, you still get cursed, and hopefully your cleric is on top of it and can remove that, if they're not too busy healing you. The Requiem skill that we just saw, where he pops up the ads, wherever those ads die, that's where the underworld hands pop up. So if you can, as tank, if you can, time your roar to draw all of those ads to the center, so you keep all of those underworld hands in one area, just to make it a little bit easier to avoid. Tanking it is pretty straightforward. You just want to keep its attention on you, try to avoid the skills, and try to survive. There we go, I just popped my turtle, my tortoise skill. As a side note, the tortoise skill lasts for 20 seconds, and it gives you a huge damage reduction. It like reduces 40% of the damage that you're being dealt, so it can definitely be a lifesaver. It can help your cleric have time to be able to heal you, or heal and res the other members that have died. And he's going to be enraged in a minute, but we have him down pretty good. There, Spirit Shift, it hits all of your whole party. Hits your whole party, so it puts a strain on your healer. And I pop turtle again. Just to give Jamira a little bit of breathing room to be able to heal. So we managed to kill it with 30 seconds left. So we're pretty much right on the edge of being able to take it out. I went ahead and sped up through this just to get to the second boss. The second boss is by far the most difficult in the dungeon. Much more difficult than the third. They, in my opinion, and several other people have agreed with me that they should have switched the bosses, because this second one is way more difficult. So, as opposed to in Eventide, when he does the reaping skill, which lowers healing ability, do not get hit by that, especially if you're a tank. But if you're any character, just avoid it. In Eventide, he only does it once, but in Twilight here, he creates a clone, and the clone does it also. Okay, this is most critical area here. When he spawns the adds, the first thing you want to kill is that water elemental. The reason is because he casts that water trap, and whoever has aggro on the water demon at the time that he casts that, it will put a water trap on them, and they're basically locked down for 6 seconds. Unless you can interrupt it. You can interrupt it with the pounce skill. Or your Blade Master can interrupt it also, if you have one. The suggested order, my personal suggested order as far as taking out the adds, are take out the water first, because that water trap can wipe out your party. Especially if it water traps your cleric, you're done. If it water traps your tank is stuck, not doing anything. Second one you want to take out is the wood elemental, and the reason is because the wood one casts a revivify skill, and that actually heals the boss. So that's obviously bad. Only 1 minute left before he rages and basically wipes us all out. Spoiler alert, we do die horrifically here on this first one. On a side note, there's more. There's his second spawn of demons. Luckily, on the second spawn of demons, he does not... I haven't seen him spawn another water demon on the second round, so that's definitely a positive. But you just want to take them out as quickly as possible. Only 30 seconds left here. So, on the side note, and this is also another important thing, the demon orb that he summons that hits whoever he decides to target at the time. Devil's Energy Orb, there it is. Under normal circumstances, what you want to do is have everybody group together under it, unless it's this last one when he rages. Because right there, So we revive, obviously, and another thing that's important in any good party is communication. Being able to communicate, not point blame and say, hey, you screwed up, but just finding ways to get past obstacles. So that's actually what we did the whole time. That's another reason why this was such a good group, in my opinion, even though we faced a lot of adversity. So communicating and getting a plan together and being able to survive. So as I was saying about those devil orbs, for every single one of them until when the boss rages, if you make it to that point, or if you unfortunately make it to that point, you want to have everybody gather under it to split the damage and reduce it as much as possible, so somebody doesn't get one shot. Once again, with this first demon spawn, always target the water first, and then the wood. So what I've told other groups since is to entirely focus. So the moment that those appear, all of your DPS need to stop hitting the boss and start hitting those adds. Because the sooner that they all coordinate on a target, the sooner it'll die. Now when the boss does rage and cast that last demon orb, it can, and as you saw, and might see again here, unfortunately, I don't remember, we'll find out. It will hit hard enough to wipe out everybody who's standing there. It doesn't matter if you're sharing the damage, it wipes out almost everybody. So unless you have a whole lot of HP and like super DPS with all kinds of defense, but you know, that's not normal. Once again, we're down to the 1 minute mark. It's got about 3.5 million HP left. Normally a good marker to determine if you're going to be able to kill the boss in time to limit the rage is you want him down to 3 million or less by the time you hit the 1 minute mark. Another thing I do here is I try to grab the aggro from the adds if at all possible. So I will switch targets. I will leave the boss because normally by this point, or by the time he actually spawns the adds, I've secured aggro, so I know he's going to stay on me. So I try to get the rest of them. Once I get them, I will often pop the tortoise skill like you saw me do there to reduce damage to be able to stay alive while the boss and all the adds are hitting me. There we go. It's gotten to rage. And unfortunately, because I had used that tortoise skill earlier, I didn't have it ready for when he raged. That is one good trick for tanks, especially in this dungeon. If you can hang on to tortoise until the boss rages, it will allow you to survive significantly longer. Obviously, the first time I died instantly, second time I died instantly. But like I said, this was just my second time through this, so I was still learning and still figuring out how to fight this particular boss. So here's our third attempt. And I cut it out of the video, but we did discuss it, and we came up with a plan for whoever got the final rage orb, whoever gets the rage orb, we want them just to run away from the rest of the party so that only they die and nobody else gets damaged. That's our plan coming into this third and final round. There's the demon summon. I roar to get their attention. want to secure it more with the wood. And I should switch over to the other one. Maybe. Nope. So what I should have done is I should have tried to peel off that metal demon a little faster. So that was my mistake. Also, we needed to take out this wood demon quicker. But there, that's the Revivify skill that the wood demon was almost casting. If it had been able to get that off, we probably would not have been able to finish this. So we're getting down to the end here. In 8 seconds, I've got my tortoise back. There we go. Got another minute. It does cast both the orb and the summon at the same time, so keep that in mind. Another important tip for tanks is the Devour skill does actually increase your defense, in addition to reducing the physical defense of whoever the target is. So if, as much as you can, keep that Devour debuff and buff going. So you want to keep using that pretty much constantly. Another thing I do here is the Bestial Rage. And I use Bestial Rage to replenish Chi if I'm low, which I'm very, very low. And here I am running away from the boss right now because it's already raged. One of my team is dead, and I'm trying to stay alive long enough to give my DPS time to take it out. There we go. Chingy got the final blow. Almost wiped out a third time, but we managed to pull it off. So this part is really easy. Honestly, the best plan with this is just if everybody stands right in the center, they all come to you and you can just do a whole bunch of AoEs and they all die fast. So now we're getting ready to hit the third and final boss. This one is pretty easy. There are just a couple of things to keep in mind. There we go. Okay, first thing first, what I do with this guy is I run in, grab aggro, and then I will drag him back. Once I have his aggro established, I'll drag him back to the center. And the reason is because in the center is where the glowing white dome appears that protects everybody from his Armageddon skill. So obviously, really basic, just avoid the boss's skills. No biggie. This draw energy, what that does is it basically sucks away your mana from your whole party. You want to be able to interrupt that with the pounce skill. So, unlike I did here, make sure you save the pounce skill for when he casts that, and you'll break it. Demon Servants, it produces those little ads in the corners there. And basically, they feed the boss energy. Your TPS can take those out pretty quick. Here's Armageddon. This is why I pull him to the center, because you can just continue to attack him the entire time and you're safe. The Pool of Fate activation all you need is one person to go to one of the crystals and activate it to cancel this. Just like that. And then this boss just has a couple of other really simple, straightforward attacks just to avoid. And you can just keep him in the center the whole time. In fact, that's what I do almost always, is I will just hit him, let him go run off, do his thing, and then he will come back. As long as you have the aggro established, you're good. And basically it's just working him down. We were actually, when we started the third run, we thought that we did not have enough time to be able to finish. We were worried that we were going to run out of time, but luckily, as you can tell, we still even now have 5 minutes left, so we're guaranteed. When it comes to having a good party, a good group, normally I prefer going with guild members, just because you tend to interact with them, you get to know their playing style, you get to know their skills, and you can actually communicate with them. So the whole thing is, with a good party, good guild, good group, is just communication and not giving up. Just keep fighting until you're able to figure it out. And there we go. Because even you can do it, it's all based on skill and heart. If you have the heart and you have the skill, you can do amazing things. So there we go. So that being done and said, at the very end here, I'm going to show you my current power. And there we go. Just under 85,000 power, tanking Twilight. So it can be done, and you can do it too. And thank you for watching the maiden voyage of Wujun Tank Tips. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And have a great day.